Hello everyone, welcome back to our weekly market analysis video with me, Frankie, your market analyst at Markets4U. In today's video, we'll be looking at the key economic events and data releases from November 11th to November 15th, 2024. I've already set up my screen to display the economic calendar from the traders room at Markets4U. I've set the dates from November 11th to November 15th, covering this week's important events in GMT. Please remember to adjust to your respective time zones. Let's dive into this week's events. Monday, November 11th, starts relatively quietly with Australian Westpac consumer confidence data. Tuesday, November 12th, brings us UK employment data, including employment change and unemployment rate. We'll also see Canadian building permits and Japanese PPI data. Wednesday, November 13th, features the crucial US inflation rate data for October, including both headline and core figures. This will be one of the week's most important releases, potentially influencing Fed policy expectations. Thursday, November 14th, is another busy day. Australia will release its employment data, including unemployment rate and employment change. The Eurozone will publish industrial production figures, and the US will release PPI data and initial jobless claims. Fed Chair Powell is scheduled to speak, and Japan will end the day with GDP growth rate data. Friday, November 15th, concludes the week with significant data from the UK, including GDP growth rate and industrial production. The US will release retail sales data, New York Empire State Manufacturing Index, and industrial production figures. Key events to watch this week include US inflation rate on Wednesday, Fed Chair Powell's speech on Thursday, Australian and Japanese GDP data, US retail sales on Friday. Now, let's go to the technical analysis. This week, we'll focus on XAU/USD, gold, and US dollar index, USDX, as both instruments are highly sensitive to US inflation data and Fed Chair Powell's speech. Let's start with XAU/USD, gold. With US inflation data and Fed Chair Powell's speech ahead, gold typically shows increased volatility during such periods. Looking at the daily chart, gold has been showing signs of weakness, recently breaking below the 20-day moving average, the red line. Key levels to watch for gold are support at 2,642.05 and 2,584.05, resistance at 2,722.09 and 2,787.05. The price has been pulling back from recent highs, with the 20-day moving average now acting as resistance. The stochastic oscillator is approaching oversold territory, suggesting we might see a potential bounce soon. The 2,642.05 support level is crucial as it could provide a bouncing point during this week's high-impact news events. Now, let's turn to the US dollar index. The index faces a critical week with US inflation data and Powell's speech. On the daily chart, USDX has recently established an uptrend after a strong recovery, with price now trading above the 20-day moving average. Key levels to watch for USDX are support at 103.66 and 103.03, resistance at 105.05 and 105.73. The index has been showing strength after finding support at the 103 level. The stochastic oscillator is moving higher into overbought territory, suggesting strong bullish momentum. The 103.66 support level has become particularly important as it represents previous resistance turned support. Both instruments could see significant volatility this week. Traders should be particularly cautious during the US inflation release and Powell's speech, as these events can cause sudden spikes in volatility and potential gap risks. Remember, always manage your risk carefully and never invest more than you can afford to lose. That's it for this week's analysis. See you in the next video.